Back in October, The Witcher author Andrzej Sapkowski demanded 60 million zlotys, $16 million, in additional royalties from CD Projekt Red, and while the studio initially declined, it has now agreed to hand over some extra compensation. As reported by Wccftech, via Puls Biznesu, the Polish developer will offer the author further compensation in a bid to preserve an amicable working relationship, although the figure apparently will not be anywhere near the $16 million Sapkowski initially requested. Sapkowski originally agreed to sell the rights to the book series to CD Projekt back in 1997, turning down a profit-sharing deal in favor of a cash deal largely because he did not think the studio would find success in the world of video games. It's a decision has since come to regret, as he explained in a rather frank Eurogamer interview posted back in 2017. They offered me a percentage of their profits. I said, no, there will be no profit at all. Give me all my money right now. The whole amount, commented Sapkowski. It was stupid. I was stupid enough to leave everything in their hands, because I didn't believe in their success. But who could foresee their success? I could not. Pioneer, the sci-fi exploration game first discovered as an Easter egg in Watch Dogs 2, has been cancelled according to former Ubisoft director Hutchinson. In one mission for Watch Dogs 2, players could hack into the servers of a fictional Ubisoft San Francisco to steal and sell a secret free teaser. Once downloaded, the teaser wound up being footage from a space game codenamed Pioneer. This is pretty interesting, given that Ubisoft never formally announced the game was in development, although it was confirmed that the game footage was real. An official review for Pioneer was reportedly in the works for 2017, but that never ended up happening. A tweet sent out by Hutchinson yesterday seems to hint at Pioneer's cancellation, although it's worth noting that it's no longer working at Ubisoft. The company has not put out an official statement over Pioneer, but there is no telling if it will ever be addressed, given the secrecy around the game's development. The 2019 Game Developers Conference will feature an exhibition called Ctrl GDC that uses alternative control schemes and interactions. Gamasutra will be talking to the developers of each of the games that have been selected for the showcase. The book returns players exploring loss and grief through taking a book and defacing it. In a sense, players have to customize the book with their artwork and feelings, transcribing thoughts or altering the text to make it their own. Then, they must feed pages of their book through the shredder, actively destroying something they have loaded with their own importance. Gamasutra spoke with Alistair Aitcheson, developer of the book original, to talk about the emotional impact of destroying a book, and how this act can help players think on loss in a safe environment. I am Alistair Aitcheson, and I am the sole developer behind the book original. I did the programming, built the hardware, wrote the dialogue and did the artwork and animations. The book ritual is a narrative game played using a real book and the real shredder. Your book becomes a character talking to you through the screen. It has a story to tell. But if once you know your own story too, it asks you to write in its pages, and deface it in creative ways to reflect your feelings. The book also needs you to tear out its pages and put them through a shredder. This is where the custom hardware comes in. The shredder is attached to the computer by a United States cable and detects when paper's going through it. So, you actually need to shred pages in order to progress. The shredder itself is dressed up as a character, with big cartoon eyes and teeth. because the subject matter is quite melancholic. I want the player to feel welcomed in by something innocent, childlike and friendly. Questions about loss and regret had been on my mind. I wanted to capture these questions in my creative work, because when I talked about them, I could not get to the heart of what was troubling me. A lot of my previous games have used physical interaction, physical props, and physical performance. I do not control a comedy show, for example, and physicality has become quite a natural way for me to tackle creative ideas. I wanted to see if I could use these same methods to explore a more emotional subject that I struggled to capture otherwise. Tearing up a book asks the player to act out the process of damaging something permanently. They see their book gradually decay, and are responsible for making those irreversible changes. As they are actively destroying the book, and seeing the changes they have made, they can reflect on how they feel about that in the here and now. Having made several alternative controller games in the past, I noticed that destruction was ever present, but it was always something I avoided. I worked so hard to make my creations more resilient. Duty in never been in a situation where destruction was the point of the controller. This time I wanted my work to talk about how nothing lasts forever. Why not explore what it means for a creation to be impermanent? I am also aware within myself of how many souvenirs I keep, and how much I fear losing or damaging them. Yet the souvenirs are just objects. Losing them does not erase the people or events we wanted to commemorate. On the same note, to destroy a book feels painful, even when we know it will never get read, even when there's thousands of duplicates of that same book around the world. What are we afraid of losing? What are our souvenirs protecting us from? I am very keen to make the player connect emotionally to their book. To that end, I wanted to make sure there's always a piece of the player inside its pages, something they have written or drawn that makes it feel unique and personal. I'd also try to use playfulness as a way to welcome players in, so they feel safe opening up. The book should feel like a friend. Ultimately, the book should allow the player to reflect on their own experiences, and how they have been affected by grief, loss, and regret. Yes, I have things I want to say through the work, but unless I ask the player to bring in their own experiences, it's just me talking at them. Your experience with this book should be a conversation. If the player feels like they are caring for their book, drawing on their own personal growth to offer advice, or lending it a sympathetic ear, that's a really powerful way to reflect on the ideas. Games are a safe space for us to explore ideas and see how we feel about them. Destroying a physical book is an invitation to get into a headspace of thinking about loss, about decay, about responsibility. But at the end of the day, it's just a book, so it's okay to reach a point of no return. It's an opportunity for growth. I love how by the end of the story people come away with their own unique object. A book with a face and a personality, maybe a few little secrets in its pages, that is totally different to anyone else's. They have destroyed something, but in the process have created something brand new and much more special. I started making games as a teenager. Back in 2001, I studied maths at university, and when I graduated in 2010, I started a one-man studio making those games full-time. A lot of my games focused on social interaction and physical contact, making players share an iPad, for example, and encouraging them to cheat. This led me to make games with custom controllers for events and public spaces, where I could be bolder and get players to be even more physical. Tap Happy Sabotage, 2014. It's a game where up to 20 players jostle over one giant touchscreen, and it's currently on display at the Game Science Center in Berlin. Bash 2014 and Codex Bash 2015 are both in the National Videogame Museum in Sheffield, and get players running around the room hitting buttons on the wall. I'd also perform a live interactive comedy show, the Incorporated Readable Playable show, which I have been running for the past 2 years. It's a collection of out-controller games I have made where the whole audience gets involved. It won the Jury Choice Award at IndieCade 2017-inch long, which is one of my proudest achievements. The game itself is all built in Unity,